Welcome back. Now, Kenya is set to host global environment leaders for a major conference on pollution. Environment Cabinet Secretary Judy Wahungu is hosting the leaders in Nairobi in an event that kicks off tomorrow. Early today, the leaders held a meeting at Kenya Forest Service headquarters. Among those in attendance was United Nations General Assembly President Miroslav Lajcak. And now we are joined live by the CS of Environment, Judy Wahungu. Good afternoon. If I may start by asking, what is the agenda of the conference?
Good afternoon to you. The agenda of the United Nations Environment Assembly 3 is to look at the issue of pollution, and this is pollution in air, land, our soils, and also our marine ecosystems. What we have done here this morning with the President of the General Assembly is to have a side event that has been hosted by Kenya and also by partner countries such as China, Norway, and Brazil. And basically, we were looking at the Sustainable Development Goal 15, which looks at forests and life on land. And what we underscored during this particular meeting is the importance of the ecosystem services that are provided by our forests. They are very important to our water towers. They're also very important to our soil fertility. So what we looked at this morning is how all countries can put more efforts into conserving and protecting our forests. The other issues that we discussed is that when it comes to protecting our forests, it's not just government efforts alone. It is that our communities are the frontline protections when it comes to protecting our forests. Therefore, the communities that live within the forest must enjoy their livelihoods by receiving some of the ecosystem services directly. Issues such as medicine are extremely important to those communities. These are some of the issues that we underscored. It's very important and key to Kenya to have hosted this side event, and for this event to have had the President of the General Assembly as the chief guest. Going forward this week, we will discuss, we are expecting about 180 countries, a few heads of state, and I anticipate over 100 ministers, looking specifically at the issue of pollution and how we as countries can come together to curb pollution. Of course, Kenya will be center stage because of the tremendous effort that we've already made this year in looking at the issue of plastic pollutants. And I will be having a side event during the session in the next few days.
Madam CS, last month, Kenya Forest Service pleaded with donors for funds to ensure that the forest cover have been addressed. Is this issue, has the issue been addressed yet?
When it comes to the environment sector and the issue of forests, as you correctly say, we work very closely with donor partners. And historically, we've worked with Japan when it comes to the issue of forestry research, particularly looking at specific species in the drylands. When it comes to value addition in terms of commercial forestry, we've traditionally partnered with countries such as Finland. So this is a standard practice that we have. Now, when it comes to how we have fared in terms of forest cover, I think that we have done extremely well, especially if you look at the strides that we have made in the last 4 years. In 2013, the scientific analysis said that our forest cover was 6.9%. But speaking here today, if you look at our forestry information systems here, we are now at 7.4%. More Kenyans than ever are planting trees. So I think that we're making very good progress to our constitutional mandate of 10% forest cover by 2030.
Indeed, Madam. Now, you talked about planting, and of course, yes, we have made good progress. But then there's also the issue of loggers. We've experienced several areas where loggers are still present. What are we going to do about this?
I think I want to challenge you, the news media. I give you positive news. I'm telling you our forest cover is up 7.4%, but you choose not to report that. Now, when you hear about illegal logging, most of the time that is on our plantation. we have plantations that are planted to be harvested. If you come to the headquarters here at Kenya Forest Service, the Chief Conservator of Forests will be able to provide you a map of all the plantation areas. So what we need to do as Kenyans is let us work closely to learn the difference between an indigenous forest and a plantation. Most of what you see are plantations. And if I ask the Kenya Forest Service exactly where is this being harvested, any time of the day, they can let me know exactly what it is.
All right, thank you there, Cabinet Secretary of Environment, Judy Wahunga, talking about pollution. Now, earlier on, the United Nations General Assembly President, Miroslav Lajak, addressed the conference, and this is what he had to say.
Here with you today, and it's a great pleasure to have just helped to plant a tree in these beautiful urban forests, because forests are a critical source of and for life on this planet. They are both beautiful and beneficial. We admire their form, but also their function. They are the largest carbon sink after oceans. They help us mitigate climate change and adapt to it. For each tree that is felled in a forest, whether or not someone is around to see or hear it, our environment suffers. And when our environment suffers, so does our health. When we protect a forest, we are protecting our economy, biodiversity, energy sources, food production, and fighting climate change, all at the same time. Let me stress 3 points in this context. My first point is that there can be no sustainable development without sustainable management of our forests. They are the lifeblood of our planet. 25% of the global population depend on forests for their livelihood. More than 80% of terrestrial animal species live in the forests. And forests cover 30% of the Earth's surface. We can spend all day listing the benefits that forests provide, from preventing land degradation and desertification to reducing the risk of floods and other natural disasters. Unfortunately, year after year, forest coverage is disappearing. Some 13 million hectares of forests are destroyed annually. This destruction has been driven by human activities. The onus is therefore on us to address these problems with human-led solutions. We need better laws, better plans, and better implementation.
That was United Nations General Assembly President Miroslav Lajak, who is addressing the key issues that will be talked about and discussed in the pollution conference that will start tomorrow. Now let's move on.